Dermot Desmond, the major shareholder of Celtic, invited me up to the game, and I travelled up with him. Yeah, and Celtic won the game.
Yeah, yeah,
and convincingly so as well. Hung on at the end, but there was no need for that, really.
No, all done and dusted.
I feel inclined to ask it, albeit I don't want to set the hairs running early. Is there a gulf between Celtic and Rangers?
Now, bearing in mind that you're not a football person,
of course,
nor am I, according to Souness.
This is to do with Graeme.
Yeah, but you're a football person, Martin. That's why we're asking you. You're like Graeme. You know the game inside out.
Yeah, thanks.
Objectively, do you? I mean, Celtic have beaten them 3 times and drawn once. So Rangers have not really laid a glove on them. Yeah. Graham's argument is that there isn't a gulf. It's not a wide gulf because the results have been 2-1s and close-knit, close-fought encounters. I would suggest that if you take very little from another side, there's a gulf. I'm not looking for clickbait. I'm just looking for an objective opinion from another voice that says, well, there is a gulf. No, there isn't a gulf.
Well, I think there is.
Yeah,
I think there is, and I'm sorry I have to dispute this with Graeme. Rangers were desperately poor, really, really poor the other day in a game that was very important for them.
Yeah,
and they could have been out of sight by half time. Lundstrom gets himself sent off in the match. That's nothing at all to do
crazy
with your
challenge
argument.
by him, wasn't it?
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And Rangers, that's as poor a Rangers side as I've seen in years. I have to tell you that's my view.
Wow, as poor a Rangers side as you've seen in years.
The side that
so how did he catch up, man?
The side that I had seriously way back in the year 2000. When talking about Rangers and Celtic would have had more money than they have now, in the sense of maybe a bit more money to spend. But the side that Rangers had in the year 2000, 2001, 2002 would have beaten this Rangers side about 6-0.
What about Celtic? What about the state of the top 2 clubs? Because that wrinkly rocker Rod has got quite upset with me. That's a Sun expression, isn't it? Wrinkly rocker. About the quality of Scottish football. I've made an observation this week about.
He's not having you.
Well, I don't care. My disappointment about the quality of Scottish football, the broadcast rights, the other clubs in the league, the lack of quality of players coming through, but also the top 2 sides and their quality. When you look at the team that you produce, the Celtic side that you have, how does, and I'm not trying to be controversial, I'm trying to get an objective opinion. The quality of the top 2 against the quality of the Celtic side and the Rangers sides of the past, I think it's miles away. What do you think?
I think there is. I think there is a genuine difference. There's no question about it. But in defence of this, what is happening up there, Simon, is that there's no money. There's no money, and I mean, if things were reversed, just let's say we come back down to in this earth in 100 years' time and find out that everybody wanted to invest in Scottish football rather than English football, you'll see a different scenario. That's why maybe there's been talk for years and years and years about Celtic and Rangers joining a bigger league, possibly a European league, or eventually if the Premier League were to take them in, which is not going to happen in the immediate future. But there is definitely, and then what happens is that if you've got less of a quality of a player, then your chances of doing well in European football which is absolutely diminishes. This is the whole point, and that's the real concern about it, is because Celtic and Rangers do pride themselves over a history. Celtic, the first side ever to win the European Cup, and Rangers had an excellent history in European football themselves.
Right.
So it's getting to that stage. It's the competition in European football that is eventually making decisions for everyone.
Just to be certain, you think there's a huge gulf between Celtic and Rangers as things stand? Unlike soon as you think, no, the gulf is there for all to see.
I think there is a gulf at this minute. Quite obviously there's a gulf, but Rangers have to do something about it. Rangers need better players.
Right.
It's just really as simple as that.
So Rod's not happy with you, as you know, Simon. I'm sure you're bothered. But he was in Belgrade last night and he sent me a message. You were having a pop at him about coming from Highgate and being, why are you a Celtic and Scotland fan? He said, the whole world knows I was born a Londoner, so no big expose there. Hath the Scottish national team of English accents? We can't all be Rob Roy. But it's the derogatory, sanctimonious, disrespectful way that you do it, Simon. Criticise Scottish football all you want, Jordan. That's you,
that's me.
Jordan.
Yes.
I'm fully aware of its shortcomings. End of story.
Listen, it's a world of opinions. I'm not entirely sure. Pointing out facts is the same as being disrespectful and sanctimonious. If you don't like something, you debate the argument. And Rod's opinion is that I've been disrespectful by stating facts. I don't think the top two sides are what they were. I don't think the rest of the league is as competitive as it should be. I don't think the quality of the financial packages that go into football is right there. I think it's pretty poor that the top two clubs can't even entertain away fans in their grounds.
Yeah.
And I think all of that is poor, and I think it's a fair observation. And if Rod doesn't like it,
yes,
well, that's not the same thing as being sanctimonious and disrespectful.
There was a comment about low-hanging fruit under his kilt.
I thought that was funny.
What was that?
Well, I made an observation.
I'll tell you during the break. No, he'll tell you now.
I made an observation about having a go at Scottish football was low-hanging fruit, which is incidentally what you'd find under Rod Stewart's kilt. I thought that was a fair observation.
You with us, Martin? Martin, thank you for that. I kind of derailed us there going into the Old Firm, but we'll get back and try it now. But Martin, I think you're spot on with everything you've said regards where Celtic and Rangers actually are at this time. Unlike Souness. Did I say that? We're streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. If you want to watch the show, you can head over to the official talkSPORT channel on those platforms. I'm getting to that championship playoff semi-final second leg in a second. I was at the Football Writers Association dinner last night. Phil Foden got the nod. He was the man that the sports writers voted as Player of the Year, and a good choice, I think, as well, Martin. Phil didn't come down to London for it because it's a big weekend for Manchester City and the rest of the Premier League this weekend. But we've got Gary Lineker's take on Phil Foden, and it is intriguing and well worth listening to. We'll bring Gary to air later on this morning. Just on that, last night Leeds United will play Southampton or West Brom in the Championship playoff final after thumping Norwich at Elland Road last night. Simon, the news is sad to report that David Wagner of Norwich set to be sacked at some stage today. Does that surprise you, Simon? Norwich having got so far but not far enough, and now Wagner's going to pay a price.
No, it doesn't surprise me, because the noises that were coming out of Norwich during the course of the season, that he had a tenuous relationship or grasp on a decent relationship with the Norwich fans during the course of the season. It appeared that there were times during the course of the season where actually they might have parted ways. And they've come to the end of the season and they've been smashed, haven't they?
Yeah.
Out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
By Leeds United. So I'm not surprised that perhaps they've drawn a line under it. Is it reflective of the body of work he's done over the course of the season? I haven't watched enough of Norwich to say that he merits that. But when you go out of the playoffs 4-0 and don't really lay a glove on the opposition, and during the course of the season there's been lots of rumblings about the style of football, the results that you've been getting, I don't suppose it's much of a surprise.
No. I mean, do you sympathise with Wagner as and when the axe falls, Martin? Were you in a similar situation at Leicester, if memory serves me right?
Well, very much so. Situation was I came at Christmas time of 1995, and Mark McGee had just left to go to Wolves as a manager. There was a bit of uproar at the time. Leicester changed managers again, and I came in and couldn't win a game to save my life early on. Things were looking pretty grim, crowd turning against you, and then we got on a run. That got us into the playoffs, and finally to Wembley. In the playoff, but I definitely felt at the time that I hadn't won the Leicester City fans over at that stage, and if we had not beaten Crystal Palace at the time, it might have ventured into the next couple of games, but then you're under the next couple of games of the following season.
Yeah,
maybe. But I felt that was a must-win game for me. Really must-win game.
It's Leeds, Simon, who march on. I know you've got a lot of admiration for the football club and the history of Leeds United and where they stand in English football. Daniel Farke, of course, thrilled that they're now going to head to Wembley to see it out with whosoever, either Southampton or West Brom. This was Daniel.
Obviously, it's a great night for us, for everyone who's connected with this club. Great scenes here at Elland Road, atmosphere again, second to none. Many compliments to our supporters who made this place a rocking place, but also especially to my players with a pretty controlled and mature performance. Second leg, half final. Can't take it for granted that you're there so much in control over the whole 90 minutes. And yes, great night for all of us.
Simon, you've been there. You know the feeling to go up at this stage. This is a very valuable match, and the whole process is valuable and lucrative to the club.
Of course it is. I mean, with a club like Leeds United that spent so long trying to get back to the Premier League, then when they first landed in the Premier League with Bielsa, took everybody into their thrall because they played such attacking and engaging football. And then find themselves back in the Championship again. And when you look at the scale of that club, it's not just because they had a great side in the middle 70s and Don Revie was so instrumental in certain aspects of English football, some of it good, some of it bad.
Yeah.
but it's because when you go to Ellen Road, you know you're at a football club. When you go into that stadium and you see the atmosphere, you know, to some extent, it's different but comparable when you go into Nottingham Forest and you go watch Nottingham Forest play, and I've taken teams up there and seen the atmosphere and the feeling towards the club. It's a big club. Does it deserve to be in the Premier League? Well, only if its performance is merited.
Yes.
I don't personally think I think Southampton will win tonight against West Brom, and I think Southampton will beat Leeds in the final.
Give me a word on that, Martin. The second game, Southampton-West Brom, what do you think? 0-0 first leg.
Well, I am inclined to agree with Simon in terms of Southampton, but couldn't. Southampton maybe beating West Bromwich Albion,
right.
But for the final, Leeds United have got some brilliant attacking players in the side. I couldn't call it.
Sure. Okay. Don't forget, you can hear live and exclusive commentary of the second playoff semi-final tonight, Southampton West Brom, live in talkSPORT. Jurgen Klopp speaking to the media right now. We'll dip in very shortly and get a flavour of what he's talking about. It's 10:15.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.